For those of you who came last year, you'll notice not one panellist is the exact same. But there was one thing that wasn't changing this year for evokeAG, and that was this session. It is such a fun way to finish. Katie McRoberts' quote, "There's nowhere to hide." So we love a little bit of randomness. We've got the tombola, which we started off with one from Timu, which wouldn't have been big enough from the cards. But you, our audience, have selected these magnificent people who we've heard from over the last couple of days and are so vital to our agri-food ecosystem here in Australia and New Zealand. We've got the chance to explore some uncomfortable questions. They're not all necessarily deep and philosophical. Actually, some of them are just really quite personal, political. Some will challenge power, the incentives we have, and long-held assumptions. Bringing together farmers, founders, investors, technologists, and policymakers, it really is just a snapshot of the ecosystem we've had here over the last couple of days. And so for our final session of evokeAG 2026, this is You Can't Ask That. So can I have a huge round of applause for our panellists? And I'm under some strict instructions. This key, if you guys see the key stay in the box and I'm about to spin, can you just yell really quickly because the show could go haywire really quickly. Our first person who's going to come up to the tombola drum is Andrew Fraser from Halter. So can we give him a huge rock star welcome? And I'm going to get spinning.
It's very exciting.
Andrew, grab a card.
Oh.
Any card.
Great.
What does it say?
Okay. The question is, how should we define impact? Short and sweet. I'll just jump straight on in. I think, and for those of you that were here this morning, I think everything for me goes back to producers. So whether a company is successful or not is irrelevant unless it's helping the folks that need it the most, which in the case for all of us here, I think is the farmers or producers or graziers that are doing the work. We at Halter certainly think about this in things like return on investment. If you're spending a lot of money on a system like Halter or any technology in market, you should be able to see that clear return on investment for you, whether it's in terms of pasture growth or milk production or labour savings or fuel or any of those things. I think that is the most important thing here, is what it means for producers, what it means for farmers, what it means for graziers, and anything else is secondary to that. So that's how I would think about impact.
Cool. Thank you, Andrew.
Cheers, mate.
Nat, I'm going to throw to you. So to answer that same question, how should we define impact? Over to you.
Oh, me? Nat?
Yeah, Nat. Oh,
Nat
sorry.
Nat.
We've put
Natalie
together.
Natalie. How would I define impact? Oh, it depends. It's like the question this morning. What are you trying to achieve? What outcomes are you trying to achieve? It's all of that sort of stuff that you need to consider. If it's in terms of ag tech, which is, kind of what we're here for.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say I love ag tech, and thank you very much to anyone working in that sector. You don't see bumper stickers on cars saying I love ag tech, but maybe we should, because it has really transformed our farming systems and also our welfare, farmer welfare in our businesses. And I don't think that's quite recorded, the impact of that from there to there. So for me, it's all about what is it you're trying to achieve and measuring that.
It'd be rude to miss the bloke from Impact Ag. What does it mean to you?
I was waiting for it to come my way, to be honest. Impact for me is it's demonstrable change over time. It's catalytic change, and it has to be able to be measurable. It has to be visible, and it has to deliver a positive benefit. And so, if I think about what we try and do as a company, we think about accelerating agriculture that activates the power of nature. And if you can do that, the first bit with the second bit, and measure it, you have impact. You have impact on an industry, and you have an impact on an environment. So we spend a lot of time thinking about that. So it can be a little bit esoteric for some people, but I think if you can knit it together like that and measure it, you've got impact, and that's great for the industry and it's great for the communities we operate in.
Matthew, now he thinks he's in trouble.
Sounds like my mum.
From where you sit,
Yeah.
how do you think we should define impact?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So I'm going to think about it from the government lens. And one of my first managers when I came to government put the challenge to me. Everything you touch, I want to lay down the challenge that you make something better when you touch it. And I think after 20 years, I'd say the other thing is, and to stop bad things happening as well. And government works in a system, and I think sometimes you can think of impact as having a big impact. Sometimes a little impact in a system is important as well. So I think for me, it's about how you have, like you said, a positive impact on everything you touch.
I love it. Natalie, I would ask you to come up to our tombola. Let's give them a round of applause while we spin again.
And while we're waiting for this draw, I must say, you've got positive impact, which is what you just said, Matt. Positive impact versus negative impact.
Sure.
And, let's put that in perspective as well while we're talking about this. Because, like I said, not everyone loves ag tech, but I do. Some people find it really frustrating. But, it's like learning to ride a horse, or whatever framing you want to put it in.
And if we want to get really real, we could say some activities have no impact.
Well, that's true. Yes, depends on the perspective, doesn't it?
It does. All right.
Righto, let's do this.
Natalie Somerville, you can't ask that.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, wow, this is a good one. Who's going to win the AFL Grand Final this year? No,
Geelong.
that's
sorry,
right,
I'm not
right,
answering.
okay. Geelong. What will the stereotype of the farmer look like in 2050? Righto, in 2050, I reckon that's not that far away, is it really? I think it'll look pretty similar. We're going to have a lot of young people come through the ranks and take over from, the rest of us in the space, or learn from us in the space. There's going to be plenty of diversity, gender, I hope. That's my wish. And we're going to have some cross-sector industrial infusion by 2050. That's my answer.
I love it. Thank you, Natalie. Emma, I'm going to throw to you from a Microsoft perspective. What will a farmer look like, or what will the stereotype of a farmer look like in 2050?
Well, in an Australian context, I still hope it's a person on a farm, got an akubra. I hope it is still that. It's human-centric, it's human-led. I think you'll see a lot more robotics, for example. You'll see a lot more tech infusion, but hopefully it's still localised. It's in place. There's a better sense of connectivity to the land. There's more reflection and learning from past misuse of our land for short-term gains. So I just hope it's localised, community-led, but technology-infused.
Thank you. Broden, I'm going to throw to you. A man from a broadacre farmer, but from the cherry capital of Australia, young. What do you reckon a farmer's going to look like?
It'll be pretty similar, I think. To probably bring it back to reality a little bit, I think a lot of what we see here will be probably booming by then, because at the end of the day, Australian agriculture is sort of a pretty old generation at the moment, so we need that to change first before a lot of this can get in, because, farmers, some farmers that are older don't have the time or want to do this at the final part of their life. But also there will definitely be the farmer still there. The greatest fertiliser on the ground is the farmer's boots. We'll be able to use AI and stuff to, map our pests and whatever, but without us there seeing it and implementing it and making the decision and, maybe we'll be just pushing the tractor to drive, but that's fine. There's a whole other thing with autonomy with, Australia, we have very strict laws on clearing. So, I think there's a whole heap of things to try and work out before we get down the full autonomy path. But I think it'll be very similar, and I think we'll be much more enabled by technology. And I really think that probably, especially in our area, we'll have gained another tonne or two to the hectare in production. And, to say that the misuse, I think it was a misguidance and a misunderstanding of our land. We took off 16,000 tonnes of crop this year. We're going to put back 8,000 tonne of product. So we're all still doing... We used to have chooks. The analogy was, if a chook doesn't lay an egg, it's not happy. If a soil's not happy, it doesn't grow a crop. So, it's pretty simple to me.
I want to grab this one. We've got a couple of minutes left. I'm going to push you all a little bit more, because let's say 2050, Australia's gone through a lot of the boomers, like it or leave it. We've seen between $3.5 trillion and $5 trillion in wealth transfer across Australian society. 65% of that wealth is going to women. Okay? So when we look at the sector in 2050, who's holding the money in the room is going to change. What's our sector going to look like? And I think it's all valid, but I really want to let's go a little bit deeper.
If we don't talk about succession, guys like you are going to own a lot of it. Succession's one of the biggest things I think that we need to talk about, especially with that much money being changed.
And Hugh,
there was a number mentioned in a panel yesterday. 10%. This one that Hamish talked about, actually it was Liam Lenehan from GoFarm. It was there needs to be $48 billion brought into agriculture by 2030 to enable either family succession transition, 50% of that, or the other 50% was required in terms of capital uplift on farms. Extraordinary amount of capital that needs to flow into agriculture in the short term, right? And I think when I frame that in terms of what the future of it looks like, if we can get the capital in there, we can keep the family farm alive. And I think that should be absolutely what the objective is for society in Australia. We were built on the back of agriculture, and we genuinely export the greenest, finest, most beautiful agricultural products in the world, but something is going to have to change to continue to stay there. I think the people on the farms will have a lot more time. A lot of farmers now are project managers, and I'd like to see, with this capital come in, they can be the project designers on their farms. And agronomists will still be needed, but there's people like Suze Orgel, who's probably sitting in the crowd here somewhere, who's helping new agronomists think differently. And so I think there will be different roles in different stages, but it'll still be a human industry. But I think it will look different, to be honest with you. And if we can't get the capital into agriculture that needs to help families transition, or the capital that's required to do the upgrades to bring in technology like Horta, I don't know, it could be a bit bumpy. That's the way I think about it.
I'm going to ask each of you just 3 words only, to describe. What will that farmer look like? I want you to think of 3 words to describe that farmer. Paint me a picture. Andrew, I'll start with you.
Can I do halter dash enabled? Maybe as one of my words. No, I will say young as one, and I think the other one which I'm going to say is like stockmanship, because I think that doesn't go away even with the advent of any amount of technology or anything along those lines. The better farmers will continue to be the better farmers. So yeah, those would be my 3.
I love it. Nat, 3 words.
Diverse. And that's in every aspect, whether it's gender, whether it's culture, whether it's the actual farms we're doing. So thinking, not just about our land systems, but thinking about our ocean systems and everything in between.
Thank you, Nat. Matt.
My 3 words. Fit no stereotype. So similar to Nat. I worry that the stereotype, the idea that we have of Australian agriculture, holds us back. And to Hugh's point, we want to crowd in people into agriculture. We want more people into this amazing sector. And I think sometimes the stereotypes of what we think a farmer should be and what we think agriculture should look like hold us back from achieving the amazing potential for this sector.
I love it. Hugh, 3 words?
Well, I had diverse in there and it's been used 3 times, so I might park that one. But I think the farmer of the future is going to be passionate, highly educated, and I think even more connected to the land that they're on.
I love it. Emma?
So what they look like, well, hopefully Australian, and there is no stereotype for that. Healthy.
That's 2.
And empowered.
Empowered. Lovely. Broden, I'll get you to say this and then you can walk up this way after. So you're 3.
Sustainable, which to what people may not think now, but we are now, I think. They'll be more enabled and they'll be happy. So it's my
I love
3.
it. All right, Broden, come up here and let's give them a round of applause while that happens. Any card at all?
Reading's not my strongest suit. What does fair water access mean in practice? This is a good one. So I'm not an irrigator, but I have a lot of irrigation mates. To me, fair water use or access is growing the crops that we need the most. And I have a real problem with these huge industries that we're putting in that need the water 100% of the time. So sorry if you own them, but almonds and all that sort of stuff. We need wheat, we need all those other rice, and all these industries are stealing, well, not stealing, but taking a lot of the water, and it's never coming back. And that's a real problem. And that, to me, isn't sustainable unless we start building more dams and start using our water more effectively. And, the government wants buybacks and everything, and that's fine, but we've got to really look at what we're doing. There's only a certain amount of water in the world, and it all just gets cycled around through the ocean or on the land. And to say it needs to end up back in the ocean, well, if it's in a dam, it'll get taken away there itself. But yeah, that's probably my thing.
Thank you. Andrew, I'll throw to you. You've got interesting context in New Zealand. What does fair water access actually mean in practice?
Yeah, I don't actually think about fairness so much here, so maybe I should do more of that. I think the big one is sustainable, right? Like, and I think you touched on it well as well. Like, it's got to be right. It's got to be right in the long term, and it's I think that's by far the most important thing for me is we're not doing things today that are going to mess us up in the future as well. So I know I'm redirecting the answer, but I'd say sustainability is the most important piece there.
Matt, quick answer from you.
I think it's a contested resource. I think what we need to think about is exactly the comment. It needs to be sustainable. We need to think about what that diminishing pool of resources, water, will look like in 30 years' time and be planning for that and thinking about what our farming systems look like. And we've also got an obligation, I think, to use that resource as efficiently as possible for those that have it.
There we go. Hugh, I'm going to ask you to come up. We're going to go to the next one. We've got 20-odd questions in the barrel. We're definitely not going to get all answered, so...
Just on the water thing, I think it's an important point that was made over there around, nation-building infrastructure. How do we think as a country around building infrastructure that can harvest sustainable water flows over land flows of water, and we just don't invest in it, and we've got this big focus on the Murray River, on the MDB and all the river systems and balancing sustainable flows with water buybacks, and all those things are really important. I do support those, but we have this other resource of rain-fed water that literally we don't harvest. And we could take the smallest percentage of that and have absolutely no environmental impact. And then we think about regional, remote, rural communities without water. You just add water to ag in Australia and it'll work. And we don't think about it.
Ooh, jeez, I nearly lost the lot.
You did, you're going to be in trouble there, mate. So,
thank you, Hugh.
Righto. So this one was actually probably where the whole thing started. So it's so the question is, so who owns the adoption gap? It's an interesting question. I think it's probably, for me, it's, we all own that gap in a way. And if you go out in the hallway, there is lots of capital that's been supplied by government, by certain industry bodies. There is a little bit of private capital in there. Everyone's competing for it. But if we can just all of us kind of coalesce around a single point of view, I think the adoption happens quicker. I think there's a lot of capital out there. There are a lot of ideas out there. And I just think finding the right place for us to zone in on and get that adoption into market and get the changes happen quicker, we can kind of do it. I was on a panel yesterday, unrelated to here, where we had a whole value chain around agriculture, people that required carbon, and people who could finance it, but no one was gluing it all together. And it can happen. We've just got to get people all focused on the same goal.
Can I grab that one? I want to throw it to Andrew from Halter. You guys wouldn't have much of a business if you didn't step into the space. Who owns the adoption gap?
I do think that the primary person that owns it is the company, right? So if I think about Halter, if people aren't buying Halter collars, it's on us. We are obviously not showing enough value for the farmer or the producer. It's not on them, it's on us to do that. I do think that there are probably some areas where other parties might be interested. I don't see this so much in New Zealand or Australia, but in the US, there's often a lot of government stimulation to say, hey, we want to farm this way or do this on public lands, and there can be subsidies or those things. I think that should never be the starting point, but I think it can help if it's for the greater good of the folks. And ultimately, farmers will follow if there's value and if there's relevance there as well. So I think it's never the farmer's fault. But if you're seeing that your neighbour does something bloody well and your neighbour over there does something bloody well, one thing I love about most elements of agriculture is it's not competitive. Everybody wins if they all produce more. And so I'd say, if it's valuable and you're sitting back and not doing things, then that probably is on you ultimately. But I think it starts with the company.
Nat, can I throw it to you just with a farmer hat on? Who do you view? Who owns the adoption gap?
Who owns the adoption? Depends on the contract, doesn't it? I mean, when we talk about technology, and it's quite a broad space to play in, it depends on who came up with the concept and if they are giving, the people permission to adopt it. So one of the things that I will raise here is about the IP of some of this technology that we're using. And I'll be controversial because this is the place to be it. We talk a lot about this First Nation space and using people's knowledge and skills to progress agriculture, etc., without really, understanding that that's actually somebody's IP right there that you're taking and using without their permission, or not even providing something for them in advance. So it's a very broad space, and I put on my cultural lens and I put on my farmer lens, and ultimately at the end of the day, it's about permission, and that's who the adopters. I hope the adopters have been given the permission to proceed.
Thank you, Nat. Emma, I'm going to ask you to come up to our tombola stand. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Okay. What does a successful RD&E system look like in the future? So research, development and extension,
That's
I
correct.
assume?
Yes.
I think it looks like it does now, but it's more integrated and hopefully it's quicker. Hopefully it's more simplified. I think where some of the failings are now is that we don't have the long-term persistent structures in place to enable that adoption and extension to land where it really needs to land. So hopefully it's just more efficient.
Matt, what do you think?
Yeah. So this is something we've put a fair bit of thought into. I think our bones are really good for RD&E in Australia, and we should be really proud of what we've got. We had some commentary earlier about kind of, you know, their money directed into ag, and I can't think of any other sector that has a kind of a matching contribution from government in the order of 500 million a year, matched by industry, kind of supporting RD&E. I think that's extraordinary and something we should be really proud of. But what does it look like in the future? I think we need to be focused on the most. We need to be focused, and we need to be focused on the most important things. And I think we've got an opportunity to do that better, and not just focused on everything. We need to agree on kind of what the most important things are: productivity, sustainability, biosecurity, and go after them hard.
And as Andrew Bates said, not forget the A and the S, the adoption and the scale. Broden, do you want to add anything to that?
I think we do the R and the D very well in Australia. I think the E lacks, especially with our institutional E arms. I think the sort of smaller grower / agronomist groups do it really well, but to be honest, it mightn't matter in the future, because I think with AI, honestly, you'll have all this research, all these problems will be in AI, and you'll just ask the question you want to know, and it'll read through all the papers itself, and happy days.
There you go. Matt, I'm going to ask you, can we have a round of applause for them? And Matt, I'm going to ask you to come over. What would be the worst question you reckon you could get asked?
Oh, gosh. That's a good question itself.
Maybe this one.
It feels like I'm going to win something. I've never done anything like that.
Yeah, there's a car under someone's seat.
All right. So this question is, if we're honest, who benefits most from the agri-food innovation system staying exactly as it is? It's a really good question. I certainly don't think the farmer will benefit from the agri-food innovation system staying exactly the way it is. I'm a really big believer in doing what we're continuing to do is not going to be sufficient to meet the challenges ahead for agriculture, whether it's climate volatility, whether it's geopolitical challenges, whatever challenge, and everyone here will be able to bring something front of mind. But for me, the system staying the way it is not an option. It needs to keep changing, it needs to keep evolving, and it needs to get better.
Who else wants to jump into that one? If we're honest, who benefits most from the agri-food innovation system staying exactly how it is?
I think I think we quickly forget, well, a lot of people quickly forget that farmers are normal people that read the news as well. We worry about climate variability is a thing, and stuff like that. We worry about it, but we adapt to it. And to get drove down our throats that, oh, you got to change this, you got to change that, we're going to be this by this, whatever. We know our aim is to make our farm as sustainable and as profitable as it can be. And I think the role of the agri-food system is to A, support us in our growing, and B, keep our markets open so that we can make the money and not have to worry about volatility so much of our price, which in all honesty doesn't matter anyway. Someone said about the input prices being so high at the moment, but they were way higher at COVID. So we have very quick, short memories. But I think also the ag tech industry just needs to follow along with us, but really consult with us on what are our actual problems. Like, we have just major drivers of, nutrients in and out, so, nitrogen, phosphorus, all those sort of things, they come out, we've got to put them back in. So we need solutions for that sort of stuff. And, in the livestock, they need solutions for, hallelujah, there's finally some virtual, paddock stuff coming around. That sort of stuff is what we need.
I'm going to give you guys a round of applause, but I'm going to ask a question. So give them a round of applause, and then I'm not missing out on this one. Should I look at a few first, or do we keep playing the game? It's a great one to finish in. Rapid responses. If evokeAG disappeared tomorrow, what would be the impact? Broden, I'll start
Not
with
much,
you.
sorry. No. No, it's been good. It's like I come this pretty skeptical. This is my first evokeAG, but we all hear what it gets called. But today's been really good. It's been good to be on a panel and this panel as well. And I think it's got a lot of potential. It just probably needs to steer itself down to earth a smidgen more and just really focus on what our needs are for ag tech in Australia, because we want it, but if it's airy-fairy and too hard, we're not going to go near it.
I love it. Emma.
I think I came to the first evokeAG, so this is my second one. Something I take away from it is that we're still talking about some of the same problems. I don't think we'll solve those problems without evokeAG, but I'd like to see it translate into action or priority problems that we go deep on and we try to solve and come back the next year to report progress on. Because if we don't stay connected and we don't experiment together, we are not going to solve these problems. We're just going to continue to talk about the problems without shifting the dial.
And an opportunity to celebrate how far we've come as well. Hugh.
I think, having been to Evoke a few times now, I think the connectivity in the room is super powerful. So it gives a forum for conversations. I don't want to be kind of similar to the other guys, but I think, lifting into tangible outcomes and a few more numbers and a bit more deep dive into how do we solve some of the problems that are out there. Everyone's coming here to learn. Hands-on learning opportunities, I think, would be great to see push into a vote going forward. It's a big commitment of everyone's time. It's 2 days, it's expensive. I think everyone that comes here comes with an open mind and an open heart and wants to hook in and have a go at, changing stuff. I really like the idea of holding ourselves to account and measuring the changes year to year as well.
And I can assure you we are listening, Hugh. Thank you. Matt, do you need a refresher?
If it disappeared tomorrow, what would be the impact? I was reflecting on the conversation I had with Emma just before we came up on stage, actually, and she was saying innovation's messy and it's high contact, and we need more people coming together to have conversations, sometimes messy, but that's where the innovation is. So if we took Evoke away, we'd be losing that opportunity. I think there's a couple of other, I guess, kind of twists I'd add to that.
They better be quick too.
They're very quick. No one in the world really has owned ag tech as a sector. I think Australia's got a really good opportunity to do it. And I'd love to come up here one day and talk about ABARE's latest report and have grain hitting it out of the park, horticulture hitting it out of the park, and ag tech counting it as part of the sector as well and hitting it out of the park.
Thank you, Matt. Matt.
What would be the impact? This is my second Evoke, and it's grown so much since the Adelaide one that I went to. And I think this cross-pollination that occurs here between, tech people and, stuff that I don't have a touch point on every day, and the everyday farmer, which I kind of am, is kind of cool. And it would be disappointing to not have that. But I think, like Matt said, innovation, change for the better, think about how we can do it better, bring in people, make it affordable, diversity. And I reckon, that's the way to go.
Thank you. Andrew, I dare say you're first, but probably not your last evokeAG. What do you think after your day here would happen if evokeAG disappeared tomorrow?
Yeah, I think the best bit for me has been kind of to build on both the Matt and Nat connection, been that messiness, those interactions, the chance to kind of share experience as well. I was chatting this morning with Ali from Just Meat, and I learnt a lot, like what she's doing, how she's doing it, how they're going to market. We were able to chat a little bit about like capital raising and those things. That was a very business to business chat, but I think being able to have those organically with people from different states, from different cities, from different countries, all in one place, I think is the most powerful thing that I've certainly seen today as well. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I think that would go missing if there was no longer a evokeAG.
Thank you, Andrew. Well, that's it for our final session. I just want to give another huge round of applause for all of you guys, obviously, and our audience as well for the questions and for voting these 6 lucky guests up. So thank you so much.